Good morning, and thank you all for joining today's press event. Um, my name is Ryan Bates. I'm a consultant on behalf of Michigan United and the American Business Immigration Coalition. I'll be moderating today's discussion. Just a reminder that if you are not speaking, to keep yourself on mute. And if you're doing video, you will get a better result by putting yourself in speaker view. We're here today to talk about President Biden's announcement to provide relief to hundreds of thousands of undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens, as well as DACA recipients. I'm going to hand things over to Adonis Flores from Michigan United to talk about why we're here and why it's important.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Adonis Flores. I am the training director with Michigan United, and I am a former immigrant rights organizer and a former undocumented immigrant myself. I have been advocating for immigrant rights for over 14 years, but today we had a victory thanks to the efforts of immigrant rights organizations, advocates that have been advocating for our families and our communities for decades. This moment is long overdue. We are here to celebrate a small victory for our families, but much more work needs to still happen. I myself was a beneficiary of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals that President Obama created in 2012. And it changed my life. Immediately, my income tripled after I got my work permit. And thanks to marriage equality and thanks to advanced parole, I was able to adjust my status, and now I have a green card. And it's completely changed my life because of a program that President Obama decided to implement to protect immigrants like myself. But I remained committed to the cause because so many more people in our community still did not have any benefits. People like Cindy, like Veronica, who are here with us and are going to share their stories. We are talking about our families that have been here in this country for decades and are stuck and cannot adjust their status because of our current immigration system and because of lack of political will in Congress. But today, finally, after decades of advocacy, President Biden has taken action to protect some of our family members, some of our loved ones, and that's cause for celebration. It's a step in the right direction, but more work needs to be done. So without further ado, I am going to introduce one of our speakers today, who's going to share a testimony about how this policy could potentially impact her life. So, Irma Silva, would you like to share your story?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity. Good morning, everybody. My name is Irma Silva. I am an American citizen, and I have been living in Detroit for more than 30 years. I have been an educator for 24 years. My husband and I have been married for 30 years, and he has lived in Michigan for more than 33 years. We have hired 4 different attorneys already, and unfortunately, we have not been able to adjust his immigration status. 15 years ago, our house was broken into, and the safe where we store all important documents was stolen. My husband's passport was in the stolen safe, and that was the only evidence we have to prove his legal entry in the United States. The last attorney we spoke to recommended that my husband leave the country so we can apply for a waiver. He also said that it could take between 3 to 10 years before he can return back home with us. And we really think that this is very unfair because everyone in the family is an American citizen. His mom, myself, and our 2 kids, who are now 27 and 25 years old. We are all citizens and voters. I hope that the new policies that are going to be implemented today allow our family to stay together while we go through the long and expensive process to adjust my husband's status. There are hundreds of thousands of families like us suffering anxiety and fear. Every time our loved ones leave the home, we get worried that they won't come back, that they could get detained and deported, leaving behind broken families. I know so many families that were separated. So many kids in my school suffer from anxiety and trauma because one of the parents in the family was deported. It's so difficult for a single parent to be present in the kid's life when they have to work multiple jobs to provide for the kids. Families like ours have been in the country for many decades, and every president makes promises to help families in our situation, but they had never kept their promises. As a registered voter, I hope that President Biden will make this policy a priority because we are getting tired of broken promises. So hopefully it will help us in. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me share my.
Thank you, Irma. Now I'm going to hand things over to an old friend, Cindy Garcia, whose family went through this nightmare several years ago. Cindy?
Good morning, everyone. And I thank Michigan United once again for giving me this opportunity to express everything that we went through. My husband was Jorge Garcia. We made national news. Whoopi Goldberg actually sent us to Mexico to go see my husband. This was happening in 2018. He was gone for about 2 years, waiting for a waiver to get back. Most families have to wait longer. He was only there for 2 years. He was able to come back. We were able to be reunited with ourselves. The trauma we experienced then and now will never change. The PTSD, the depression, all of it, the anxiety, it will never leave. Because we know that every time we see an immigration truck, it may not be my family, but it may be others. And it's unfair that they have to be separated from their loved ones. The policy will prevent more families from this traumatic experience. Thank you to the new president that he has put in place. Biden, me, and the kids are now able to vote because we are U.S. citizens.
Thank you, Cindy. And Cindy's story is exceptional in that it required the intervention of a member of Congress, Representative Dingell, and actually the full weight of the United Auto Workers advocating for her family to bring her husband back after 2 years of being separated. So this order will prevent more families from going what Cindy had to go through. I'm going to hand things over to James O'Neill from the American Business Immigration Coalition to share more details about what specifically President Biden announced this morning.
Thank you. As Ryan said, my name is James O'Neill. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the American Business Immigration Coalition. ABIC is a national bipartisan organization made up of 1,400 CEOs, chambers of commerce, trade associations throughout the country, all advocating for immigration reform that is morally right and that helps to grow the economy, especially now during a devastating labor shortage across all sectors and in all states, Michigan included. I want to start by congratulating everyone that was a part of the Here to Work campaign. Congratulations to Michigan United. Congratulations to American Families United, a national organization that represents folks in mixed status marriages, U.S. citizens with undocumented spouses who are unable to adjust their status, folks that will directly benefit from this new announcement. And thank you and congratulations to dozens and dozens of other organizations that were a part of this over the past few years to get us to this point. I want to quickly touch on the policy and what was announced and the details that we have as of right now. There are obviously going to be plenty of work moving forward to make sure that the implementation of this policy is as inclusive as possible, and that we try and combat as much misinformation about who is and is not eligible for relief under these programs. So with that being said, what was announced, in order to be eligible for parole in place via a qualifying marriage, someone must be present in the United States as of yesterday, and been continuously present in the United States for the past 10 years, and must be legally married to a US citizen again as of yesterday. That person must also not have any disqualifying criminal record. And so there are certain types of criminal records that are disqualifying under US immigration law. And then what is also very exciting is that children will also be able to adjust their status with parole in place if they have a qualifying stepchild relationship with a US citizen. So that's that first piece. And I saw a question asked that this will impact roughly 50,000 families, mixed status marriages and mixed status families in the state of Michigan. That 50,000 is the number of mixed status marriages. So I'm not sure exactly how many children would be benefiting from this program as well, considering the stepchild component I just mentioned. The other thing that was announced today, this morning, is that there will be what's called the D3 waiver for documented individuals and other undocumented individuals who have graduated from a U.S. institution of higher learning. So that means that through employer sponsorship, those folks can have a more permanent status and potentially even a pathway to naturalization through their employer and through their hard work in getting a college degree. And I just want to say that this action by President Biden is a model for the kind of common sense solutions that we hope to continue seeing both administratively and legislatively from both parties, from all of our elected officials. This program is good for families, good for communities, and it also has the advantage of being good economically, helping to solve a labor shortage that is harming the economy and preventing growth. So with that, I'll turn it back to Ryan, and thank you all so much.
Thank you, James. I'm going to hand things over to Representative Laurie Pohutsky. Laurie?
Thank you so much, Ryan. I am Representative Laurie Pohutsky. I am currently serving my third term in the Michigan House, representing the 17th House District, which includes portions of Northwest Detroit, North Redford Township, and Northeast Livonia. And I'm here today to stand with immigrant families in Michigan because what's been happening to them is just plain wrong. Imagine being here for 10 years, or in the case of Ms. Silva's husband, 30 years, and living in fear the whole time. Working, paying your taxes, contributing, doing everything that we would want our neighbors to do. And all that time living with the fear that the knock at your door could result in you finding an immigration agent behind it and being torn apart from your family that you've worked so hard to build. Living in fear that something as small as a traffic stop could result in deportation. Many of these folks who have been here for decades have children who are themselves US citizens, and that's still not enough for them to receive legal status. This isn't who we are as a country or as a state. Families deserve to stay together. Parents deserve to be with their children. Full stop. Immigrants who've worked hard and have been a part of the US country for decades deserve the chance to fix their status and stay with their communities. They shouldn't have to leave their families behind with no guarantee that they will ever come back or wait while their paperwork is processed. What the Biden administration did this morning is consistent with our values as a country and as a state. It upholds the dignity and justice of our families. We can have greater security on the border, and we can have compassion for those who have been in our communities for many years and have families. This isn't a contradiction. Out of the more than 1 million families impacted by this issue across the country, there are about 50,000 here in Michigan, and that's potentially hundreds of thousands of husbands, wives, and children that can breathe a sigh of relief and know that their family belongs here. I'm proud that our leadership in DC has taken the step to provide work permits and legal status to spouses of US citizens. It'll strengthen our state, our economy, and our communities, and it's just the right thing to do. Thank you very much, and I am going to hand things over to my colleague, Representative Puri.
Thank you so much, Representative Pohutsky. I applaud the news out of the Biden administration this morning. Thank you, everyone, for having me. As was mentioned, my name is Ranjeev Puri. I am the state representative for House District 24 and also a member of the House leadership team as the majority whip. I am honored to represent one of the most rapidly diversifying districts in the state. And a lot of that growth comes from communities of color and immigrant communities from all over the world who are coming to call our district home. And, you know, I think about my own story as the child of immigrants, and in many ways, I am the product of the American dream. To go from being a new American to an elected official, helping to decide public policy is a uniquely American experience. It shows that when we welcome immigrants, that when we give people a chance, they're ready to contribute. The immigrant experience is never easy, regardless of where you're coming from or what brings you here. I mean, if you just think about it, to leave an entire life behind and to pick up your bags and buy 2 one-way tickets and come to a foreign land is no easy task. I know that from my own family's experience about how hard my parents worked to build a new life for us here. And I see that in my district, as mentioned, where families from all over the world are coming here and are thriving. And that's a shared experience amongst people from all different backgrounds. We all want to work hard and provide a better life for our children. And so the parole in place program that James described is going to allow the undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens to continue doing just that. You know, they're already here working and contributing, many paying taxes for benefits that they'll never receive. Parole in place will allow them to regularize their status with their families, and it'll grant them work permits and driver's licenses while that paperwork gets processed. And that's a positive for our community. For example, when these folks get work permits, they won't have to work under the table anymore. And that means they can't be exploited and their wages will increase. The American Business Immigration Council estimates that this will result in $16 billion of new economic activity. That also means that tax collections will increase and we can improve public services. This will also be good for economic growth and for small businesses. I know if you go to a restaurant these days, really in any part of our state, there's always help wanted signs everywhere. In fact, 40% of small businesses are struggling to find enough folks to fill the job openings they have. I see that every day in my district, and it makes no sense to be throwing immigrant workers out of the country in this situation. Let's let these million spouses of U.S. citizens parole in place, you know, get a work permit while they wait and keep working on contributing to the economy. And then, as I mentioned, another element to this is the driving. With the work permit, these family members will also be eligible for a driver's license. That means fewer unlicensed drivers, so our roads will be safer. That also means fewer uninsured drivers, so our car insurance rates will likely also go down. And when we give people the ability to live up to their full potential, it's better for all of us. And, you know, I think the evidence can be seen in what happened with DACA. When we gave dreamers protection from deportation and the ability to pursue their education and careers, we unleashed a real torrent of human flourishing. Many of these young people are now doctors and lawyers and teachers and engineers and community organizers like our very own Adonis. We're all benefiting from dreamers turning their dreams into reality. And so, you know, it worked well for dreamers. So now let's do the right thing here and with this decision that the Biden administration made for the spouses of U.S. citizens. And that's why, you know, I'm glad to hear about this executive order. And as my colleague said, we'll be doing right by our families. Importantly, we'll also strengthen our economy and our small businesses. And with that, I'd like to hand things off to my colleague, Majority Floor Leader, Representative Aiyash.
Rep Aiyash, I think you're on mute still.
All right. Well, we just missed all the thanks that I gave and the great things I said about Rep. Puri and Rep. Pohutsky. But appreciate everyone joining us today. Great news this morning. My name is Abraham Aiyash, Majority Floor Leader and State Representative from the 9th House District, which includes Detroit's East Side, Downtown, and Hamtramck communities. You know, I am a child of immigrants. I'm the 7th of 8 children. My dad came into this country when he was just 16 years old, landing in Buffalo, then going all the way out west to pick strawberries in California before he settled in the great Motor City. And what I can tell you is my family's story is very similar to many others, but my dad had an opportunity that not many folks today can. The reality is this: we have an incredibly broken immigration system here in this country. For those that want to come to this country, like Rep. Puri mentioned, for that American opportunity, that becomes increasingly difficult when the system does not allow you to work towards that process in a way that is efficient, economical, and pragmatic for your family. President Biden's announcement today is an incredible first step. As someone who represents a community of immigrants from Bangladesh, Yemen, Ukraine, Eastern Poland, and all across the world, I can tell you that this is an incredible opportunity for people that came into this country searching for opportunity, fell in love and married someone, and they're American in every single way but on paper. And this opportunity allows people the chance to finally have that moment to avoid long separations from their spouses and their families. Then this is policy that will keep our families together. And this is incredibly important that this is happening at this moment, because the coalition that delivered Joe Biden the presidency in 2020 included folks like the Latino and Arab communities across this country, particularly around swing states. You look at states like ours, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, it's communities that have folks that would benefit from this policy, that will see this direct impact and be motivated to turn out to vote this November. So let's talk about what this means if this situation plays out. We know that there's someone running for president right now that has previously called Mexicans rapists, that would have banned people like my parents, immigrants from Yemen, from coming into this country. And now we have an opportunity where we can show folks that when we have a candidate that works towards protecting families, that works towards supporting and keeping families together through policy, through direct executive action, and through support of legislation, this is a moment for us to do that. So here are the facts. According to a polling by the Lake Research Group, voters are more likely to support a politician in favor of this policy by a 27% margin. 27% is a large number when you think about the margins of victory in states like Michigan, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. It is critically important that we are electing leaders that are going to deliver on that promise. And this is a step towards that direction. And I know that folks are increasingly frustrated about the way things have happened in politics. But as Dr. King reminds us, it's always the right time to do the right thing. And we're incredibly grateful that President Biden is taking this step right now and ignoring what the pundits will tell you and the nervous politicians that will tell you that immigration and fixing immigration is going to be a problem. The reality is immigration and fixing immigration is the American thing to do. It is the right thing to do. And it is time for our leaders to stand with courage. And I am glad that we can now look to direct policies by President Biden to show the contrast between him and President Trump. So if President Biden wants to continue to reassemble this coalition to defeat the MAGA right, then this inspirational act is going to be a good first step towards that. That's why I'm here and excited to support these executive orders. Parole in place and work permits for undocumented spouses of American citizens would make life better for so many communities across our state. But I want to make sure that we are not simply reducing someone's life to their economic output. These people are deserving of dignity. These people are deserving of staying united with their families, because it is the humane thing to do. The added benefit is these people, all of these people that would benefit from this program, are folks that have no criminal history, are folks that are great additions to society, that are productive members of society, and they make this country a hell of a lot better. So this is an exciting moment for advocates who have been fighting for issues like these all across the U.S. It's fitting that it's coming on the anniversary of DACA, and we're excited for the road ahead. And now I'd like to hand over the mic to Reverend Jack Eggleston. Jack?
Yes, I am Jack Eggleston. I'm a retired pastor in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, ELCA, and I'm a board member of Michigan United. This is really, really good news for a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people and their families, and I'm just so excited about it and thankful for it, because I'm one of those people, when I say the Pledge of Allegiance, we end with the words "with liberty and justice for all." Well, let's practice that. And this doesn't get us all the way there, but it gets us a lot closer. And for some people, it provides the liberty and justice that I believe that we proclaim when we say the Pledge of Allegiance so frequently. In the Christian tradition, in our scriptures, the teaching is that you should treat the foreigner, the words in some of the translations are alien, you should treat them with dignity. You should treat them as a citizen. In fact, when the Sabbath laws of rest, they're not just for the people who are in the in group, but it's for the foreigner as well. And that's the tradition that we had. Jesus gave a command that we welcome the stranger, that we welcome the foreigner. It wasn't an option, it was a command. And indeed, he uplifted the foreigner as an example in so many cases, because the newcomer is the one who can be the teacher for the rest of us. In the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, ELCA, we have long stood for pathways to citizenship for so many people to be welcomed into this country. And for too long, U.S. citizen families, get this, U.S. citizen families like those that we've heard from today, and many, many more, live in fear. They've been living in fear that their spouse or that their dad might be taken away. I don't think it's an American value. It certainly isn't a Christian value to yank undocumented spouses out of the hands of their spouse, or to yank parents away from a mom or dad who's caring for an infant, or maybe a teenager. It doesn't matter, the age of the person, but it is an American value to keep people together. And so this is a big deal for a lot of people. And in my line of work, we proclaim hope to people, and when there are no signs of hope. But hey, folks, today with this action, this hope is becoming a reality for hundreds of thousands of people. And so I can't do anything but say, hey, thank you, God, for this day and for this huge step, and to say thank you, Joe Biden, for doing the right thing. And so I'm just very grateful for this action that the Biden administration has taken.
Thank you, Reverend Jack. And I think we have one last perspective from Mary Carmen Munoz, who is a leader at Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development in Southwest Detroit. Mary Carmen, are you with us?
I am here with LACED has been representing this community since 1965, and we've been fighting for immigrant rights ever since the first day we opened our doors. We are very excited of what's happened this morning, of these executive orders. It provides people with so much hope. And as the Reverend indicated earlier before, families are living in fear of their husbands being, or spouses being deported, of their parents being deported in front of the school, being grabbed by Border Patrol and being taken away. And today, it gives so many people hope and dignity that they deserve, to hold their heads up high and to become true citizens of this country. They've worked so hard and so long for this recognition. Muchas gracias, President Biden, for this bold and courageous move. Gracias.
Thank you, Mary Carmen, and thank you to all of our speakers for joining us today, especially to Irma and to Cindy for sharing your stories, and also to our friends in the legislature who I know are very busy finalizing the budget. If there are questions from the press, please raise your hand and we can field those now. I see Liz. Liz Noss, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Liz Noss with Gongor News Service. I was just wondering, if we had any numbers on how many college graduates in Michigan would be affected with the expedited access to visas.
Hi, Liz. I think unfortunately, without the exact details of the eligibility for that program in particular, I don't think there could be a good estimate. But if you give me 1 second, I could let you know the number of DACA recipients that are in Michigan.
There are about
5,200.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Liz. I see Andrew from Mears.
Hi, thank you, Ryan. Andy from MERS News. I'm wondering, is there anything that this might be to the representatives, but is there anything the state can do regarding this executive order right off the get-go? And then I do have one follow-up.
Representative Aiyash, Representative Puri, Representative Pohutsky, do you guys want to take that? It is federal law, so there's not a direct state role in administration, but I think generally there's things the state is doing to support immigrants. Representative Aiyash?
Yeah, I didn't understand the scope of the question. Can you repeat it, Andrew?
Yeah, what can the state do? Is there anything the state is doing regarding this executive order?
No, one of the ways that we are leading in the state legislature in Michigan, obviously, I sponsored the Drive Safe legislation that would allow undocumented folks to have access to driver's license or IDs, and that is something that was in place up until 2014. So it's not a novel idea. It's actually something that was in place for a long time in Michigan. And we've worked extensively and has been a bipartisan issue for many, many years. Unfortunately, I'm seeing some colleagues on the other side of the aisle try to drum up xenophobia with this legislation. Some folks who even co-sponsored or advocated for this legislation just last term are now trying to make this into a divisive issue. But the reality is this: our communities are safer when, like Rep. Puri mentioned, you have people that are qualified and passed the necessary requisites to drive on the road. Our communities are safer, our economy is better, and we see that this is a good first step. As far as this particular executive order, as Ryan mentioned, this is a federal issue, and the state government doesn't have any direct role in this process.
Do you expect that the Office of Global Michigan will step up to offer resources? Are you going to contact Governor Whitmer regarding anything with the Office of Global Michigan?
I think given the timeliness of this conference that we're having and the recent news about the executive order going into effect, I think that we're still reviewing in what ways the primarily executive branch in Michigan, but even the legislature can be supportive, in addition to some of the ways that Rep. Aiyash just outlined. So I think we're still trying to wrap our arms around what we might be able to do to be supportive as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. I see Lucy Valesky.
Hi there, this is Lucy Valesky with Michigan Advance. I just had a question about implementation of this order and what some of the implementation problems you kind of see, and maybe if there's any Michigan advocacy organizations that are kind of working to support immigrant families here.
I'll cue that up and then hand it over to Adonis and Mary Carmen if she's still with us. There's 50,000 folks who are gonna need to sign some paperwork. So there's going to be a lot of outreach that community-based organizations do to make sure everyone who's eligible understands what they're eligible for and can get connected to trustworthy resources. There are scam artists out there who will try and take advantage of people, so we want to make sure they find LaSed. We want to make sure they find Michigan United. We want to make sure they find an accredited immigration attorney. If you want to put this in your article, don't go to a notario, go to a licensed attorney that's a member of the Immigration Law Association. And I think we'll all be working together to help as many people sign up for their freedom as possible and to register their families to vote. Adonis, Mary Carmen? Okay, I think we've lost Mary Carmen. Okay, any other questions for the press? All right, with that, we thank everybody for your attention today, for your participation, and we look forward to working with you all as this issue moves forward and all of these families get to stay together. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.